Hello, this is Odeean. Today I'm having a look at S.H.Monsterarts Godzilla from the Showa era. So this is Godzilla from 1964, Godzilla vs. Mothra. As you can see from the front of the box, this is another web exclusive in Japan, i.e. no window, which is a pet annoyance of mine these days. But anyway, moving around, we've got pretty standard fare here, the nice black and white picture of the toy there. Various poses on the back. I really love this. If you could see it close enough for it to look like this in person, it would sell the figure more in my opinion, because I do like that glaring look, but it's actually a little bit hard to achieve because of the size of the figure, and nothing on the other side. Now I believe this is sculpted by Yuji Sakai, who has been doing a good job with various other monster arts. So let's get the figure open and have a look what's in the box. Godzilla, King of Monsters. Before I forget, let me just state this tail has 15 independently moving articulated segments. I've heard other numbers bandied around, but I think those people just didn't look closely enough, because even the tiny little bits at the end here are articulated. Not the very last one there, but it gets pretty small down here, so that's pretty cool. He's molded in a very dark matte grey black kind of colour. Not quite black, it's very reminiscent of the paintwork on some of my X Plus figures, and I always like my Godzillas that nice subdued colour. His spines are also very subdued, in a kind of creamy white on the back. The paint job is very good. Everywhere that there is paint on this guy, it has been done properly. I have no real QC issues. Turning him around, there's that glare that I was mentioning earlier when he looks up at you and you can see his kind of white eyeballs. Now, for me in person, I cannot see that, but the camera down here staring into his face, it seems to show up, and I guess on the computer or TV or wherever you're watching this, that probably looks pretty good. But one of my biggest complaints with this figure is that it is almost impossible to see it the way you are seeing it now because of the size. But I guess I'll get to that when I do some comparisons. So there's a few differences between this Showa era Godzilla and the Heisei or Heisei or more modern Godzillas that we've been getting, and they're sort of stylistic. So you look at the feet down there, there's only 3 toes, 3 points. The face is very, very different. I'm going to bring out one of these guys for comparison for the face, because I think that's really the biggest differences are in the face here. So you can see this old Godzilla is totally different. Now I'm actually a little bit disappointed with the face. I'm not saying that it's not accurate, but my memories of Godzilla are more comical, and for some reason I was expecting him to be funny, and I was kind of getting a little bit excited about it, to be honest. But they've gone for as much realism as you can get in the Showa sculpt, and it is what it is. It looks pretty nice. Just not what I expected. For articulation, there's been some, I'm not going to say improvements, I'm going to say changes on this figure. So the biggest change is this cut, a new piece. The whole part above the hip here, this triangle, it's another part of the hip which lets you get a much wider pose like this, and I don't need my Godzillas to be in that pose, and honestly, I would prefer not to have that cut, because it's just another part that takes away from the lines of the character. And although I know that posability is a big thing for some people, and the kind of just the comic nature of being able to do that is probably a big plus for the majority of people, even for me, it is not something that I want to see. Kind of because at the side it's beginning to look a little bit like a mosaic. There are so many pieces. Now, you know, it's not as big a deal as I'm making it out to be. It still looks pretty good, and maybe if the figure was a little bit bigger, the ratio of gaps due to joins compared to the overall size of the figure would improve. So probably the complaint is really the size and not so much the joints, because that would fix itself. And I realize by now I must sound like a huge crybaby whinger going on about the size so many times, so let me fully articulate it. Here's these two guys here. Now, Heisei period Godzilla is approximately 100 meters tall in reality. This guy here is about 50 meters tall. So why this size difference? There is no logic to it. It doesn't make sense. We've got about 16 centimeters, 6 inches on this guy. On this guy, about 12 or 13 centimeters. So there's no logic behind this. If they had made him half the size, I could buy it. I wouldn't, like, I could go along with it. I wouldn't want to buy it if it was half the size, but I can accept it. But at this size, it just doesn't make sense. I think that they should have made him exactly the same size as the other mainline Godzilla, and these guys were never on screen at the same time. We don't need to have them fitting in perfect scale with each other. I had been getting so excited about this figure, being the first Showa Monster Arts, that I went ahead and bought this Jet Jaguar, which I reviewed a couple of weeks ago. And I mean, this is a very basic toy, and I would love a Monster Art Jet Jaguar, but seeing how this is the only one I could get, I really thought he's going to be in close to scale with this guy, because these two belong together. But unfortunately, no. Look at the shame on his face. I am ashamed that I cannot be as big as you. Finish me now. I will forgive you, Bandai, if you make me an in-scale Monster Arts Jet Jaguar to this Showa Godzilla. Anyone from Bandai listening, that will put everything right. If anyone out there watching this video has the Micro Man Jet Jaguar, do a video of it with this guy. Buy this figure as well and do a video together, because I've got a feeling that those two are in scale, but I've never actually seen the Micro Man out of the box with a Monster Arts, so I would love to see that. All kidding aside, there are some new features in this Godzilla that we haven't seen before. Well, not on the actual Godzillas anyway. This is as close as I can get with this camera, so I hope you can see the eye. The eye there is a see-through piece of plastic with a ball and pupil on the inside. I'm not sure what effect they were trying to get. Maybe it was to enhance that kind of white glare from the head on, like this. But for me, it just doesn't do it. So my issue is not with the use of see-through plastic, it's that the plastic is matte on the outside surface. So when I look at this from almost every angle on the shelf, I get a glare instead of like a frosted kind of look. I can't see the actual eyeball through it, even when I want to. And I'm not satisfied with that. I was much happier with painted on eyeballs. I always got figures that had the eyeballs done well. And this frosted look, I hope they're not going to go with it on every figure. I've heard a lot of positive things being said about these eyeballs, so maybe it's just me, but I'm not a fan of it. If the plastic was a glossy, clear see-through with the eyeball and the white in the middle, then I think I would have preferred that. But thank God he can still hit his flying pose. If you've seen all the old Godzillas, you'll know that Showa era Godzilla can sit backwards like this and fly by shooting the beam out of his mouth. And although this figure comes with a total of 0 accessories, you can always stick the beam from Heisei Godzilla into the mouth of this guy, although the end of it is a little bit too chunky and doesn't quite fit. But, you know, it's acceptable, and I'm sure that there are plenty of other beam effects from various toys that could look cool in him. My final thoughts. Showa Godzilla is not a total dud, so if you do like the way he looks, then definitely pick him up. He is probably one of the most flexible Godzillas out of all the S.H.Monsterarts, and he's made with the same good materials and high standards as the other figures in the line. So he's not terrible, I just don't like him very much. Perhaps that's been coloured a little bit by the fact that I prefer the later movies, and I like pretty much all of the later movies, where I only like a few of the earlier movies. or maybe, and more likely, it's been coloured just by the size. That's why I like this guy better than him, and that's probably why I like Burning Godzilla better than all of them when it comes to the figures. I guess I could always make him my new baby Godzilla. But anyway, with the amount of posability, he does look pretty funny in some poses. So if you're the kind of person who wants to take a lot of pictures and share them, then it's probably strong in that respect. This has been my video review for the 1964 Showa era Godzilla. I'm Odeean. Thank you for watching.